Hello, my name is Andres Hernandez, and the question for today is, should football have a wage cap or not? Football is experiencing an increasing wage gap between players. This has happened because there are no major regulations in salary increases or limits on how much money you can pay the player. As a consequence, many teams around the world have had to sell their best players in order to survive. And there have even been cases where the football team disappears because they don't have the money to pay. The MLS is the only league around the world that has a wage cap. Is set at $5.2 million as of the 2023 season. Other leagues have wage caps based on the revenues of the team, limiting how much small clubs spend relative to bigger clubs. The database I used includes a list of many players from all around the world and many different leagues in order to analyze this crisis. We can see that this is the dashboard, and we're going to interact with it very soon. These are the references. And first off, we can see that the salary increases around the appearances that you have as a player. This makes total sense because the more you play, the more experience you have, the more you are expected to be paid. But there are some incongruences here. There are 5 players in here that are way over the salary, especially this one that wins $203 million per year, another that wins $199 million per year. So this is a very huge increase from the average player. There is another chart we can see here that is the average salary compared to the average caps. This means that the more you have age, the more you grow old, you are expected to play a little less. And in this, it first makes sense that you don't play a lot and you don't earn a lot. But when you reach the age of 27, this is where things start to get more interesting because there are some cases that you start to play a lot less, but they pay you a lot more, especially the cases of Cristiano Ronaldo, the cases of Messi and Neymar Jr., many other players that are starting to go to Saudi Arabia because they pay very well in there. We can also see the division of appearances per age. This is very important. Why? Because we want to analyze if there is a certain correlation of appearances and how much is represented by age. We can see also in here that the more you have and the more you have experience, you are expected to have an average appearances way higher than others. But this doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to earn more. Why? Because we don't know if you are playing in the top 5 leagues or not, and even if you have a very good reputation or not. First of all, I want to analyze this chart. What does it tell us? It tells us the player reputation on the x-axis and the count of the reputation that each of these has. So for example, it looks very much as a very balanced graph. And you can see that most of all, they are on average, that they are going to be around this, around 3,750 and 6,250. As a reference, the top is 1,000. 1,000 means that, sorry, 10,000 means that you are very good and you are extremely professional, etc. This is the average. What does this tell us? That there are going to be a lot of players that are not so good or not so bad. And they are going to be way more on the middle. So the average player is very common. We can also see in here that the player reputation, the higher your reputation is, the more you are expected to earn. This is true, but doesn't it have to be because you are also getting older that you have to play more? You are expected to play more, but we're analyzing here that it decreases the amount. So what is interesting in this chart is that players that don't have a very good reputation earn a lot less than others that do have a very high reputation. This is the average salary. Also, I want to mention this part where If you are in a rich country, you are expected to have a very higher salary than if you are not on it. And I want to emphasize on this. Is the player playing in a top 5 league or not? This is very interesting. Why? Because even though the average salary of a top 5 league is of $1 million, all around the world, it represents 47% in only 5 leagues. So that's a lot of money in only 5 leagues around the world. On the other hand, the average salary in all the other leagues is of $190,000, but it represents more than half the money. Why does this happen? Because there are not enough guidelines and caps that you can put to a country so that they don't pay exceedingly amounts of money to a single player in their league. That is why I am proposing to put a player cap and a salary cap.